So why do you attract toxic people into your life? I got 15 reasons for you, and hopefully these help you out. The first one is that you actually don't even care about yourself. Bitter pill to swallow right off the bat. But I'm sure if you look inside yourself, you can see how this can be true. There's parts of you that you neglect, parts of you that you don't care about. Maybe you don't spend any time meditating or doing breath work. Maybe you don't take good care of your diet. Maybe you don't exercise, you don't stretch, you don't do work that you're passionate about. You leave yourself in the dark continuously. There's parts of you that you neglect. You disown parts of yourself. And then you're naturally going to attract people who also disown parts of themselves. You're going to attract people with the same level of consciousness as you. And you're going to attract people who activate old wounds. So moving on, number 2, you don't set boundaries and you invite low quality energy. When the energy is low quality, right, why do you keep it there in your life? Why do you continuously give to it? Why are you in an energy exchange with low quality energy? Why don't you cut it off? Why do you continuously choose this for yourself? There's an element here of taking a radical responsibility here, just a radical amount of responsibility. Recognizing that your life circumstances in many ways are created by you. Right? Your environment matters a lot. I get to a point on that. But the people who you choose to continuously be around and give to, right? There's a lot of personal choice here. If the relationship does not serve you, if you're not getting good energy from it, why do you keep it around? What part of you keeps it around? What needs are getting met? What's preventing you from changing? You need to actually inquire into that. The third one is you allow your emotional wounds to remain unhealed. We attract people who are going to trigger us. This is completely normal in relationships. Relationships are very transformative. They can bring out pain and emotional wounds. But the thing is that if the relationship isn't an emotionally safe container so that we can heal these kinds of things and allow them to come up to the light of consciousness, we're going to basically just repeat the same patterns in relationships. So we're going to attract people who trigger us, and we need to attract people who are also focused on well-being, healing, raising consciousness, self-actualization, shadow work, things like this. Or else we're just going to remain stuck in the same patterns. And when you're actually doing that kind of inner healing work, you're going to attract people who are naturally more whole within themselves. You're going to raise your consciousness. You're going to attract like-minded people. People who are more fragmented on the inside, you're not really going to be attracted to them anymore. When you're attracted to someone, there's a larger intelligence at play. There's a part of you that's trying to find wholeness within this interaction. What if you can integrate it and then move beyond it so that you're not stuck repeating patterns that fundamentally don't serve you? 4 is you don't take responsibility for your own happiness. You become very dependent upon other people. And essentially, you latch on to people for validation, for security. You're afraid of letting people go. You're afraid of taking responsibility for your own happiness and what that actually means for your life. Moving on to number 5 is you're stuck in bad habits. When you're in a lot of bad habits that keep you in sort of low vibe, foggy, unclear state, you're going to attract a lot of people who are kind of on that same wavelength, at that level of energy. And don't be surprised that if you're always scrolling on social media, if you're always watching a lot of porn, endlessly playing video games, endlessly eating junk food, and you don't really want to clean any of this up, don't be surprised that you're going to be attracted to like-minded people. Don't be surprised that you're going to be attracted to people and finding yourself in connections with people who are fairly similar to that. They don't really have these kinds of personal goals for themselves. They don't really have any desire to do the kind of inner work that's necessary to live a better life. Number 6 is you surround yourself with people who do not value you. Notice how much personal choice is actually in a lot of these situations. Right? A lot of your life circumstances, you're not just the victim of them. Right? You're actually shaping them up proactively as well. So you surround yourself with people who don't value you. Why do you keep these people around? What part of you keeps them around? What needs being met from this connection, right? Connect with that part of you that's continuously engaging in these kinds of connections, right? This part of you that's staying in these connections is doing it for a reason. There's a survival need that's being met, right? If you can give that part of yourself attention, get to know it, you can actually get the needs met in a more healthy way that actually serve a higher vision for your life, like raising your consciousness, self-actualizing, etc., that serve your highest good. 7 is you don't express your needs clearly. So you have to actually develop these clear communication skills. Toxic people thrive where boundaries and needs are unclear, but when you express yourself confidently, manipulation becomes harder. When you're able to actually assert yourself, it gets harder for people to manipulate you. Oftentimes people can actually exploit us. I put that in quotes and you'll understand why. They can exploit us, not because they're actually exploiting us, because we're just not making ourselves very clear. We are lacking in clarity and people are taking advantage of it. They might not even recognize what your needs are or that they're overstepping a boundary because you don't make it known. Number 8, your environment is unhealthy and you need to leave. I know this is not an easy thing to do. You might have to leave your city, your country, etc. You need a long-term plan to get to a better environment if your current environment sucks. If your current environment is just draining, unhealthy, you can't actually stay in it. Right? You need that long-term plan for getting out. Your environment matters a lot. A lot of spiritual information out there says that nothing matters but the internal world. Cool. Your external environment matters. They both matter. Your internal and your external matter. So if you put yourself in a higher quality environment where it's easier for you to get your needs met, it's easier for you to be whole, this is going to help you. It's hard to do self-actualization work if you're in a war zone. You can't do it because you're going to be too focused on how do I survive. If you're always in environments that are toxic, don't be surprised when you find a lot of toxic people there. So number 9 is you settle for superficial connections. You don't have high enough standards. You settle for things that just simply don't actually serve you. You're agreeing to it. And you actually need to have some higher standards on who am I actually letting into my life? What kind of values do they have? What do they do on a daily basis? Do they take care of themselves well? Etc. Number 10, you don't trust yourself to make good decisions. You have to rebuild trust in yourself by acknowledging your worth and your ability to actually make healthy decisions. The more you trust yourself, the more you'll attract people who actually support your choices. By being authentic, by trusting yourself, by embodying yourself fully, people are going to resonate with that, and other people are going to be repelled by that. So your authenticity repels people who don't fit you, and it attracts people who do fit you as well. Number 11, you're emotionally unavailable. There's parts of you that you're disconnected from, you're shut down to them. Your body is physically tense. You're literally not able to be present in certain areas of your body. You don't feel them very much. And because of that, you're lacking the foundation for deep, meaningful connections. When you're able to open up and be more emotionally available, you're able to be more present even just with yourself. This sets the foundation for connections that are very deep, meaningful, and fulfilling that actually fit you well. 12 is you lack clarity on what you want out of relationships. You don't really know your own psychology. You don't really know your own values. You don't really know your own needs. You don't really set intentions for the types of people you want to actually be attracting. And because of that, you don't really align with the right people simply because you're not reflecting on this kind of stuff enough. You're just fundamentally lacking clarity on some of these very core things. 13 is you don't value your own time or energy. If you don't value it, why should other people? People will feel that off of you. If you really value yourself, a lot of people will feel that off of you, and they won't really push those boundaries. If you actually value your time and energy and you protect them, it's harder for people to actually drain you. By actually protecting and guarding your energy, you naturally distance yourself from people who will be doing that. Number 14 is you're afraid of being alone. You're essentially clinging to any kind of connection, again, for security. You don't embrace solitude as an opportunity for self-discovery. You don't embrace it as an opportunity for reflection, for clarity. And the more comfortable you are with yourself, the less likely you are to tolerate toxic people for the sake of companionship. Funny enough, as a bit of a bonus, we can swing that in the opposite direction of instead of being alone with yourself, you don't go out enough, right? There's a big problem nowadays where everyone's kind of just at home, always on their phones, on their technology, right? Very isolated culture that we live in. So spend time even just going out and just intentionally meeting people, of course, listening to a bunch of the stuff that I said earlier, but intentionally meeting people in safe environments who align with your values, who align with your needs, things like this. Okay, moving on. 15, you prioritize others over yourself in a way where you're always basically sacrificing yourself. It's always at the expense of yourself. So you're constantly putting others first at your own expense. And basically, this kind of invites people to continuously take advantage of you. Instead of just allowing people to, take advantage of your generosity, you actually have to prioritize yourself so that you can attract people who respect you and appreciate you. Of course, there's fair times to actually sacrifice yourself for a connection, but when it's repeatedly, done in a way that's very fundamentally damaging to you, of course, this is a sick cycle that you're in that actually has to be broken. So that's it for this video. If you guys are interested in working with me one-to-one, you can apply to do so. Link is in the pinned comment. Take it easy.